Before I begin, I want to wish a Merry Christmas to each and every one of you and a happy 2025. I hope you enjoy your celebration with your friends, your family for the Christmas and the New Year. And I wish you all the best for 2025. I hope you achieve your dreams, your goals. May you get your dream job, your dream girl, your dream guy. Or maybe you finally want to take the leap of faith to travel solo for the first time. Whatever it is, I wish you go for it. So I've been meaning to do this vlog a bit earlier, but I was down with a sickness, potentially COVID. I'm not sure. I had a whole body ache situation. I had like a stuffy nose and runny nose, sore throat, and I was like kind of bedridden for 5 days. I couldn't get up. I was just groaning because everything hurts. And yesterday I just recovered and I'm well now, so here I am. So in the month of December, I was in Japan for 2 weeks. There's a lot of hype surrounding Japan. Everyone I know in Singapore has been to Japan, and a few of them has been to Japan more than once, and they keep going there. And to be honest, Japan has never been in my radar. It's never been my go-to country. It's never been in my bucket list. For me, like, I have this like travel philosophy, right? If it's a country that I can still go to when I'm old, I'm not going to go to that country now. So Japan kind of is in that category. I took this opportunity to go to Japan to find out what the hype is all about. Like, there must be a reason why people keep going there, right? And after 2 weeks, I'm kind of disappointed to say that I didn't really get it. I didn't really like Japan. I didn't really like Japan as a traveler. It's disappointing for me because I really wanted to like Japan, but I didn't. I'm gonna share with you why. Okay, before I begin ranting, I'm not gonna rant, but before I begin sharing my opinion, I'm just gonna give you a bit of backstory. The Japan trip that I went to, I traveled with my family, which is like my sister, my nephew, my mom. So in that sense, it's not the usual kind of travel that I'm used to, which is traveling alone, exploring, meeting locals and all that. So in that capacity, it's very limited. I was also not able to vlog as I normally would when I was there because I was with my family and I had to take care of my mom, and she's a bit on the older side. And you know, Japan has like millions of staircases. Like, the staircase is like a labyrinth, it's everywhere. My opinion will be very premature. To get a more complete conclusion of Japan, I probably have to go there again solo and do different places. While I was there, I traveled to Osaka, Kyoto, Kanazawa, Takayama, Shiwakarago. I guess these 5 places. In essence, 2 weeks is too short to know a country. And traveling alone and traveling family, you will have very different experiences as I did. And therefore, my opinion will be a very premature one. When I arrived in Kyoto, it was really, really clean, right? I would argue that it's cleaner than Singapore. And the most surprising thing is it's clean and there's not a lot of dustbins around. Almost impossible to find a dustbin around. Like, you really have to search for a dustbin. You know, that could be very impressive, but that is also, for me, very restrictive. It's like I go to a country and suddenly I feel like I have to behave. I feel like I was in school. When I travel, I like to have a little bit of freedom. So there's a bit of a stressful situation when I was in Japan. It's just like everything's so uptight. Like, of course, it's a good thing that it's clean, but it's just I like to be flexible, to be open when I travel. But when I was in Japan, I felt like I was in a box. Does that make sense? I don't know how else to express that. Number two would be the people are very polite and very courteous, which is yeah, you might another one. You said like it's definitely a good thing. Why are you complaining? The thing I don't particularly like about that, maybe not directly related to that, but they may be polite, they may be courteous, but it's weird that I find that they are not warm. When I travel to countries, and sometimes a lot of countries, you feel the feeling of warmth, like people kind of welcome you or curious about you, or at least to a certain extent, you know. But in Japan, everybody's courteous and polite, but they're not warm. It's almost like everyone's part of a customer service. So that, to me, I find it odd. Obviously, happens a lot in bigger cities where there's a lot of tourists, and everybody kind of get desensitized, and they communicate with tourists in a sort of automatic and robotic way. I don't blame them. It's just what I felt. Yeah, but even so, like other cities, like I guess Istanbul, where there's a lot of tourists as well, there's more character in that. You know, it might be not the best experience, it might not be the most polite, but there's a bit of character in that. There's a bit of like, yeah, this is Istanbul, you know, this is this city. But in Japan, it feels so vanilla. It's like being in a city of robots in a sense. It's just not warm, it's just polite and kind, and I didn't really like that. Number 3, this is not Japan's fault, but it's really too touristy, like ridiculously touristy. There's so many tourists. It's almost like Bangkok or Bali or Phuket, that level of touristy. I could literally hear Singaporeans everywhere. I've never been in any country where there's so many Singaporeans at the same time. I mean, it's like a bad thing, but it's just that, you know, if I hear more tourists than locals, I didn't really enjoy that. I didn't really feel like I'm authentically exploring a place. You know, of course, there's like other tourists as well. Like, you know, there's a lot of Thais, Singaporeans, Indonesians, Koreans, and so on and so forth. But it's so saturated with tourists that I felt like I wasn't in Japan anymore, and I didn't like that feeling. I don't like visiting a place where the number of tourists surpasses the amount of locals in a certain area. Last but not least, Japan is so expensive. So expensive. I'm sure it's really expensive only in the cities and the touristic areas, which I tend to go because I was with my family. So I couldn't really kind of roam around to the more rural places. So we kind of stick to the more popular places where there's a lot of tourists, a lot of souvenir stores and all that. So yeah, I kind of understood. But damn, I mean, the things I see, the food I ate, you know, my family goes to certain restaurants where it's halal, so maybe the price has been elevated to a certain extent. Over there, it's like, I don't know, it's like $20 for a bowl of ramen. So it's not something I would pay if I were to travel alone. No way. And it's such a shopping place. Again, because my family loves to shop, so I'm just following, and all I see are shopping places. It's so expensive. Like I went to thrift stores, secondhand stores, where the cost of the items or the cost of the jackets or the cost of a sweater, minimum is like $50. Like, what kind of thrift store sells clothes for like $50? That's insane. When I was in, I guess, Georgia or I was in Iran, obviously there's a really cheaper countries, but I spent like $4 on a jacket, and that's like my favorite jacket. But I'm not gonna spend like $50 on a used item. Yeah, so everything I have to like think twice and 3 times, and like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. It's too much. But I'm gonna tell you what I like about Japan. One thing I really like about Japan is their decorum, their etiquette, so to speak. They don't particularly rush. They keep their personal space. They keep their boundary. They don't try to rush or be like end to end with the next person just to try to get to the queue faster and all that. Calm and respectful. And I like that because once I got back to Singapore and I was on the conveyor belt waiting for the luggage, and all these people are just they are just swarming as close as possible to the conveyor belt for God knows what reason, and waiting for the bags that obviously is not going to be there yet. And like, why are you blocking the way? Why are you blocking the trolley? Why are you blocking everything in hopes that your bag will be the first one? I never got that. It makes no sense. So that contrast kind of stuck to me when I got back to Singapore. It's just like, God damn it, these people. You don't be that person who's just playing with the phone right in front of the conveyor belt and not giving a shit about blocking other people. I don't like that. Another thing I like is Japanese stuff. Japanese stuff, although expensive, is because a lot of the stuff are made in Japan. And it's not just like, I'm gonna take this stuff, I'm gonna make it in Japan, and just to put made in Japan there. No. Japanese stuff, they have to add something, you know. It's like a normal thing and then premium. And then they add like a feature where nobody bothers to add. And you're like, okay, it's so Japanese. And it's so like innovative. And at the same time, it's almost impractical, yet it makes sense. For example, when you go to a stationery store, you want to buy a scissors, right? You can buy a scissors for like $1. You know, any other scissors, you know, you can buy this. Like, for example, there's a scissors. It's a normal scissors. But Japan don't do normal pair of scissors because it's Japanese. What do? They come up with this scissors. This is a Japanese scissors. How much does this cost? $10. Why? I'm gonna tell you why. Look at this scissors, right? Look at this scissors. Straight edged scissors. Normal. That's what you expect from a scissors. This is Japanese scissors. Apparently, it's based on Bernoulli's principle that the blades are curved. Right? The blades are curved so that it will maintain a certain angle as it cuts down. See? As it cuts, the angle's the same. However, for this scissors, as it cuts, the angle shifts, becomes sharper, and a wider angle, and the angle becomes sharper. Does it make a big difference? Not really, but I've never seen a Bernoulli principle being applied to a pair of scissors. So, yeah, that's an example. Whatever the world has, there's an extra feature just for made in Japan items. Lastly, what I really like is their pharmacy. Their pharmacy are stocked. You could literally find anything you want to find, anything you want to cure. I bet, like, if you want to cure cancer, you go to the pharmacy. There's a pill to cure cancer in Japan. The pharmacy is so saturated with all kinds of things. Like, you can go to one of the staff in any pharmacy and just like, okay, I need to cure my sinus. It's like, yeah, okay. Give you some pill you've never seen before. And it's like, and you just trust them because there's Japanese words on it. And Japanese words equals to quality, equals to trust. Screw the instructions, screw the branding, and whatever. If it's Japanese, trust it, and it works. So there. I hope you learned something. I definitely learned something while I was in Japan. And I'm going to share with you what I bought in Japan on the next video. Ciao.